Is he saying I don't give a FERC what people? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric Planey.
Hi, I'm Lucas Finko.
Together on the eve of Veterans Day, we are the Pirates of Clean Tech. Yarr! Ah, that reminds me.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes, indeed, my friend.
Ah,
Yes, indeed, my friend.
now I feel like I should be taking your order somewhere.
Yeah.
Did this Fast Times in Ridgemont High?
What's that old the Seven Seas
The
movie?
burger joint, wasn't it? Fast Times in Ridgemont High?
I don't remember. I don't remember that movie. That was like 20 years ago.
Oh, internet's so bad. It's a great movie. Well, anyways, today's November 10th. And so before we begin, we should want to say to all our veterans who are listening, happy Veterans Day tomorrow. Your service has been so invaluable to this country. And, we really appreciate it. And we were there to honor you tomorrow. So we hope all our veterans have a great day. And I hope all of us just take a step back and remember their sacrifice for us and their family's sacrifice.
Yep, agreed. Thank you for your service. And we get to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy because of your service and your sacrifice. So thank you.
And I bet you dollars to donuts that a lot of our veterans probably end up in the energy industry, particularly the utility industry, probably historically for years hired veterans.
I know a few of them. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, the big news, of course, is President-elect Biden and his administration. So we're going to focus a lot on that. It's been a tough week, even though it's Tuesday. So I'm really happy to say that my neighbor's car needed a jump yesterday, returned the jump favor by bringing me incredible Munich beer. I can't pronounce it. Was it Hockershore?
Well, yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah. This is a symphony in my taste buds right now. It's so good.
I'm drinking all the way from Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's the Weyerbacher Mary Monk's. Very delicious. I definitely need a stiff drink. So
yes,
doing that.
So I have horrible internet today. So hopefully our podcast, our podcast and YouTube video will come out okay. I'll be in and out of the camera. I'm sure many of you who watch us on YouTube probably won't be disappointed not to see my face. But we should probably get right into our articles. We don't have a guest today. We wanted to just focus a little bit on how the U.S. and the world has changed over the last 3-4 days with the announcement and validation, if you will, of President-elect Biden. So we have a lot of articles today. Some of them we'll get through quickly, some we won't. Am I up first?
All right, Eric, you're first. Yeah, answer your first article.
All right, let's do this. November 9th, hot off the press, from Forbes.com. Scott Carpenter again, we've sourced a lot of his articles. They're quite good. 5 actions President-elect Biden could take quickly on renewable energy. This is a great starter. Totally recommend people to just, if they want to get a 101 on what President-elect Biden is considering for energy policy across a myriad of technologies and industries, this is a really good one. So, and I like about this too, because effectively what it's saying is even with Georgia potentially going, Republican on senators and the Republicans maintaining the majority in the Senate, a lot of this is revolving around infrastructure spending. So, that opens up the possibility that some of this could get done. But President-elect Biden still has a lot of things he can do, even with a Republican Senate, if they decide to be more obstructionist. Number 1, roll back President Trump's executive orders. There's a lot of them that President Trump did. So in terms of eliminating regulations related to climate change, including former President Barack Obama's clean power plan. Also, I think getting back into the Paris Accords is something that he can do by executive order. I don't think he needs Senate consent. So again, that's something very positive. This one I'll go over quickly because I think Lucas will talk a lot about it. Appoint renewable energy advocates to FERC, or the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Shaking that up a little bit could be a very wise thing to do. Probably not dissimilar than kind of game planning the future of the Supreme Court. Game planning seats on FERC for renewable and green heavy. Be very smart. We touched on this in the beginning, including clean energy in an infrastructure bill. Passing a major infrastructure bill is going to be, I think, personally, one of President-elect Biden's first things. I personally thought that should have been one of the first things that President Trump should have done. I think he would have garnered a lot more bipartisan support. So I kind of hope that he does do that. Obviously we're talking about trillions in spending in order to get to 80-90% renewable energy capacity on the grid over the next 30-40 years. So I think that's important. This one is interesting. His point, were new tariffs imposed by President Trump. There's been tariffs on solar panels under Trump. So obviously solar panel prices faced extra costs. Now, interesting though, a lot of solar panels and solar farms are still being able to develop even with tariffs on the panels because the cost of building them has become so much more efficient. The power generated by panels have become that much more extensive. So a lot of them are still in market even with tariffs on those panels. And then the last point here, I think revoke a key permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. I don't know if he'll do that or not, quite honestly. I think that one may just be tabled and put off to the side. Biden still has to show a lot of the world, especially the purples and people red who voted for him, that he still believes in oil and gas. So I don't think he's going to be doing a lot that kind of hits oil and gas very hard, very quickly. I think what he's going to do is simply promote where he can renewable energy generation and, either subsidies or, spending on infrastructure related to that. So good story. Lucas, what do you think?
Yeah, these are all great things that Biden could do very quickly when he gets into office. So I don't want to talk too much about the election. I'm trying to avoid it. So yeah, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm not talking too much about the election. I'm simply talking about what the president-elect would do. So we're definitely trying to stay away from the ugliness of the politics. And I'm just trying to be a little bit more forward thinking because I believe most of our audience is mean and green and really wants to focus on moving that forward. And I think most of us have consensus or belief that President-elect Biden would be the one to do that relative to President Trump.
Well, like I've said too, I don't know how much the president has power over things like putting through a giant, infrastructure bill. He's going to need Congress for that. So
he is, yeah. But I think
it's going to be him.
What's really interesting, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think when Carolyn Kassane was on, but 60-70%, or no, I think it was actually when we had the Clean Energy for Biden folks on. I personally think, Audrey Lee, that 60-70% of Americans are in favor of renewable energy. So right. I don't see the Republicans being so obstructionist on an infrastructure spending bill if it's done smart, because that's a way to reinvigorate the economy and plan for the next 60-70 years.
Yeah, I did see some news on that. There may be some Republicans in the Senate that are willing to switch sides for clean energy legislation. So I think that's where we got to focus, and that's where I think the action is going to be, at least for the infrastructure bill.
Yeah, so we'd love to get people's feedback, quite honestly, from our listeners about what they're hearing about Republican officials looking forward on clean energy. So we may reach out to a few people.
Yeah, that would be an interesting kind of activism to take on.
God, this, like, my camera froze and my face is so white on the camera. I feel like it is. So anyways, okay, let's keep going here. Yes, Car and Driver magazine, one of my childhood favorites. Love bringing them on. And I was really looking for different areas in which we're talking about a Biden presidency and what it would impact. And Car and Driver, Roberto Baldwin, November 9th, came right out and said it. Biden presidency likely to mean more EVs, auto industry stability. Biden, the car guy. And I actually have one of those Obama painting hope things with President Biden in that car with sunglasses, and it says riding with Biden.
Yeah.
Anyways, this one is just really good because, again, Car and Driver from yesterday. There's a lot of companies out there that are developing their EV plans. We've talked before about Ford and General Motors are almost looking at an exclusively all EV future, or they're planning for it. General Motors is building the Ultium battery plant in Lordstown. Right next door, the old Lordstown plant is building an electric pickup called Lordstown Motors. So Ford, Rivian, Tesla, General Motors, all of them are probably feeling a lot better about not having federal government interference. And the one thing here that I like that we don't talk about, the federal government buys a lot of cars every year. During the financial crisis, they bought a ton of Chevy Volts with a V. And then the funny part is, once those came out of government programs, the batteries were like new because federal employees were only getting reimbursed for gasoline and not for electricity. So a lot of them were just using the card based on gasoline, and they weren't using the battery power at all. So there's going to be, the idea of the federal government buying exclusively electric vehicles in 3-4 years. That's going to be a game changer. And also, President Biden has talked about putting a cohesive network of chargers across the United States. And then the last point that Lucas is just focusing on right now, he is a car guy. So President-elect Biden has both a 1967 Corvette Stingray convertible, and he has a C7 Corvette. And there's a great Jay Leno, what's his show on CNBC, Jay Leno's Garage, in which Colin Powell drag races Joe Biden in their Corvettes. I won't dare give away that one. I won't give it away, but that's the type of red versus blue type of contest that I like to see in today's America.
Did somebody throw it?
Yeah, totally. Anyways, good story. So, Lucas, I don't know if you have anything to add here.
No, this is really cool. It's really nice to see a car guy in, in the presidency. So I'm a huge car guy. Also, I think this is a Corvette. I'm also a huge Corvette fan. Still waiting for that EV Corvette. I know it's going to be awesome. I don't know what they're waiting for. It's just going to kill. So,
you know what it's waiting for? So people who ordered the new C8s aren't getting them because of two things. One was there was a GM strike last fall. Mm-hmm. Recall, so that was already delayed production of C8s. Yep. And then the COVID shutdown from the spring, shut down assembly. So I heard if you ordered a Corvette C8 conventional gasoline engine, you're waiting a year and a half right now.
Yeah. I heard they had to shut down because their suppliers shut down for COVID and they couldn't get the parts to put in the car. So
all of them shut down. So I'm really happy to see, because a lot of people are employed by auto industry in the US, and most of them are running back up near full capacity again. So really happy about that.
Yeah, I know people who are on the list waiting for a C8. So yeah, I know it's at least a year for them.
Yep. So okay, let's go to the next one, because we're going to get through these really quick. November 9th. I mean, this is great. We normally don't have stuff that's like coming out a day or two, before our broadcast. This one's a little bit of a fluff piece, but I want to bring it out. Solar Power World, or website solarpowerworldonline.com. This is Kelsey Misbrenner from November 9th. Solar plus storage industry reacts with enthusiasm to Joe Biden's presidential victory. I was trying to get a little bit more, and I'll be honest, I didn't spend too much time researching it, but I wanted to see how energy storage was reacting as an industry. And really, this article is fine. It just gives some quotes from some industry associations who all kind of say what we all say. Obviously, President-elect Biden's plan to commit climate change enables our country to create 100,000 well-paying jobs, blah, blah, blah. We kind of all know that, but this is from Abigail Hopper, President and CEO of the Solar Energy Industry Associates, I believe. This is a good article. Again, these are just kind of industry heads giving their 2 cents, saying that it's a win-win for everyone with a Biden-Harris ticket winning. And they expect kind of acceleration and less red tape in grid scale solar and storage implementation. I don't think it talks too much about distributed on this one, but anyways, another win-win from the solar advocates. So happy to see that.
Yeah, she talks about 90% support for solar, 90% approval ratings, which is interesting. So, I mean, who doesn't like solar? Yeah, very interesting to see. It's good to see the positive reaction. And they have 100 gigawatts by 2030. That brings up a good point. I saw somebody else Iberdrola made an announcement that they were going to have, 50 gigawatts by 2030. And I started to think, I don't even know if that's a good number. I'd have to look it up. It still seems low to me. I think we're going to need terawatts of renewables in the US. So, just be careful about these numbers.
Yeah, I wonder if they're looking at it from, okay, let's get to 100 by 2030, then it hockey sticks after that, right?
Well, I think nobody has 100% by 2030. So, don't take a goal that we know we can't achieve already. So, 100% by 2050, maybe. Yeah.
I was saying 100 gigawatts, not 100%.
Yeah. So if we get to 100 gigawatts by 2030, that portends very well for the next 20 years, right?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think supply chain efficiency, manufacturing efficiency,
Right.
implementation, like, all that stuff. That's where I think it hockey sticks, right? And then we're talking about cost of kilowatt per hour insulation will just drop like a rock further, and it's already dropped significantly over the last 15 years. So,
Yeah.
so it's a good story. Just not too much detail, but that's okay. Now, this is the story I did want to focus a bit on. I read it thoroughly this morning. I loved it. Clean Technia, who we quote a lot. This is from November 8th by Tina Casey. Green hydrogen nail, comma, meet shale gas coffin, and nuclear could be next. It's probably one of the more creative titles we've seen by anyone, but Clean Technia is having a little fun here. But they bring up some really serious stuff. They're talking about the fact that hydrogen, which we've been talking about for 6 months now, is really starting to hit US shores in terms of popularity. And green hydrogen, in which the electrolysis process is going to be generated from power generated from renewable sources, could be more of a certainty, which would also have a snowball effect, bringing more hydrogen and renewables online faster. What this is really interesting, saying, if you look, there was apparently an LNG export agreement that was supposed to be put in place between the United States and France. That got ixnayed, and I believe it was ixnayed by France. The reason is that Europe and the EU are spending way more time and energy right now, pun intended, on developing a hydrogen infrastructure. And so because of that, they're not looking to do more methane and LNG, LNG to methane gas-fired generation. So this is really kind of telling. And for me, I think there's a lot of offshore wind, more solar development that can be tied in the United States to green hydrogen facilities. We've talked about hydrogen as a transportation fuel, especially for like large, Class 8 semis, et cetera. This could be a catalyst. And, does President-elect Biden have enough power and speed in order to start putting a hydrogen plan in place? My answer is I think he could. Be happy to see what the DOE does in the next couple of years. But I don't want this to be a death nail for shale development. I'll be honest, because I grew up in somewhere that's benefiting right now from shale development. I think there's a lot of downstream opportunities on petrochemical generation. I don't think it will be, but I think the idea of hydrogen coming in vogue is appropriate. And I also wonder the impact on any proposed nuclear, even modular nuclear. Lucas?
Yeah, I'm really big on hydrogen too. I love it. I think it's a great like-for-like replacement for natural gas that's renewable. So I like that a lot. I was on a call today with the former head of the DOE, Ernest Moines, and they were talking about hydrogen as a direct replacement for natural gas in turbines, like right away. Like you can just take natural gas pipelines, put hydrogen in, and they burn in natural gas turbines, which we've talked about before. Like I still want to know this, like if this is doable or not. But he thinks it's doable right now, at least at 5%. So you could displace 5% of natural gas right now with hydrogen. With no change to any existing infrastructure, which blows my mind. So I really think hydrogen is great. I love it in the future. I see people like with these ideas for, electrolysis and things like this, and they put a price of electricity in their finance, calculations and their profitability calculations. It doesn't make any sense to me, because in the future we'll have a ton of wind and a ton of solar, and we'll have a ton of curtailment unless you have something to do with that excess electricity. And so to me, it's like we need technologies that'll take curtailed renewable energy like solar and wind when we're not using it, and convert it into usable energy forms, usable storage, things like hydrogen, things like compressed air, pumped hydro, etc. So in my opinion, these things should assume zero cost of energy, because they're going to take curtailed energy from when we overbuild renewables, and they're going to make it into usable energy for us. So I think this is great. I think hydrogen is a great way to do it. I think hydrogen could save the natural gas industry. I don't know if they've woken up to that yet, but hydrogen is your way forward. You can keep your pipelines, you can keep your generators. I mean, that's like 90% of the industry right there. You just get rid of taking it out of the ground. And there you go. There's no change. There's no job changes. There's nothing. So I'm huge pro hydrogen. Sorry, I went totally off
No,
topic.
no, like you had me thinking a lot while you were talking, and I was drinking off camera. Um, no, but first off, the Munoz comment is very interesting because it sounds so easy to bolt on 5% of natural gas converted into hydrogen as infrastructure. But think about I just think about the logistics of that, right? Pipelines have to be not rerouted, but they have to be kind of requalified for hydrogen. They have to make sure they're not tying in with any nat gas. So that sounds great. I'm just kind of curious. I'd love to see that report on how they're going to get there. I'm not disputing it. I think it's awesome that we start, and I believe in incremental success. Start with something like 5%.
I don't think there is a study. I don't know where he got the number, but that was his personal opinion. So I think the study needs to be done yet. I think you make a good point. Somebody needs to study if hydrogen can go in existing natural gas pipelines and not cause any corrosion or any issues. And somebody needs to study, how much hydrogen can current gas turbines handle, and how can we modify current gas turbines to handle more hydrogen, or how can we build and deploy hydrogen generators?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a call to our friend Dave Karpinski, who heads up the Lake Erie Energy Development Corporation, who's been fighting the good fight for his offshore wind farm. And I'm going to say to him, look, take the Rust Belt infrastructure around the Great Lakes, and why couldn't there be, a green hydrogen facility tied directly into wind farms offshore Great Lakes, right, where there's a ton of wind and less NIMBY issues. And this is the reindustrialization of, the Rust Belt. I'm a big proponent of the Rust Belt. Those are
totally
you need to be thinking about.
I mean, if there's a listener in private equity, like, call us. We'll set this whole thing up for you.
Well, come on, our private equity friends. Give us a ring.
We're going to buy this whole thing up and convert the whole natural gas infrastructure to hydrogen and make a fortune.
We should be like a 1970s local TV ad where we're flashing an 800 number. 1-800 Green Pirates.
Hey, come on. If Musk can do it on Joe Rogan, we can do it.
Joe Rogan's got nothing on us, except about 2.4 million more viewers than we have.
Every week, yeah. Well, we'll get there.
Anyways, this is one of my favorite stories. So to my listeners, if any of the 4 stories, the Forbes story is really nice summary. But if you really want kind of something that's indicative on the future with a Biden administration, clean technia, green hydrogen nail meet shale gas coffin, this is a good one. We didn't really touch on nuclear. I just feel like small modular nuclear, every time someone starts talking about it, it just gets beaten back into the corner of the ring, and that's it. And I feel like this could be another one.
Well, that's another article I wanted to include, but I couldn't. I had like 9 articles I wanted to talk about. One of them was all those people that were into that SMR that got approved. They're all backing away. I'm like, what? Why are they backing away? I think they're backing away for like safety concerns or something. So something's going on there. I didn't have time to jump into it, but that's very concerning to me.
Why can't we take like a little demo island in the Caribbean that's far enough away, and let's put an SMR test facility in place? I mean, is that part of the issue? We don't have enough track record with SMRs operating?
Well, a lot of the Caribbean wanted to go 100% renewables like now. And I knew a lady that worked on that program for the Clinton Global Initiative. And sadly, in 2016, she lost all her funding and the whole thing got evaporated.
Well, 2020 is here, my friend. Like I said, I've been one of my favorite places for my wife and I is Puerto Rico. We love the people of Puerto Rico. And I can't believe even one of our favorite hotels that recently got remodeled, it doesn't even have one of those energy efficient light systems in your hotel room. You turn the switch on and you can leave it on without your key card or whatever. And, island economies can't have that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love Puerto Rico too. Hey, let me know. I'll come down to Puerto Rico with you next time.
Yes.
But when we started going to Turks and Caicos, man, their system was incredible. I could check the electricity price on my thermostat. It had it right there. It was like, I want to turn the air conditioner on. Oh, look at the price of electricity. I won't turn it on. It was unbelievable.
That's like going into a New York City Starbucks and seeing how many calories is on a blueberry muffin. It's a great incentive. Smart about calorie watching.
Right, but it would like pop up in your app like, you don't want to buy that. It's too many calories. Like the technology was like, holy crap, how come we don't have this in the US? Like everybody should have the price of electricity when they have to make decisions about electricity consumption. That's how market forces work.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's truly brilliant. So
Don't get me off on that.
I'm trying not to. I think technically, great story. Those are my four
All right, yeah.
quick ones. Riding with Biden, all's great. Lucas, let's go to your stories. I think you have
All
like
right, I'm up.
you have like 14 or 15 today.
Really only three. I had to go back to every now and then. I have to go back to EIA's Today in Energy. I love their blog. Every day they have some new energy analysis, which I love. So I have to bring one up again. Utility scale battery storage costs decreased nearly 70% between 2015 and 2018. This really resonates with me. I love to see battery costs coming down. Notice this is utility scale, so it's a little different. It's a larger scale, so there's some efficiencies here. This is from October 23rd on their website. You can always go to eia.gov/today in energy, and you can see all their cool graphs. There's a new one every day. So here's a cool estimate of capacity cost, energy capacity cost, and power capacity cost, both by duration. So it's interesting to see the different ISOs. So that was really good. Look at how that's coming down exponentially. That's just a great thing. Look at this. This is $2,000 per kilowatt hour down to like 600. That's crazy in 3 years. So, or 4 years. I was really happy to see that. 70%. Anyhow, moving on. This is the coolest article I could find in the past 2 weeks. I wanted to cover 9 articles today, but this is the coolest one I could find. This is from Ars Technica, which is a wired.com, which is a wired site, I guess. I don't know. So car makers want to ditch battery packs and use auto bodies for energy storage. Okay, so this is not fake news. This is not a joke. It's not the Onion. They really want to do this. This is from Daniel Oberhaus, wired.com. This is from 2 days ago. This is November 8th at 7 a.m. I don't know why he's posting at 7 a.m. So the idea is that they want to make batteries a structural part of the car. And not only, and to me, that means, oh, just make the battery pack the frame. No, they're saying, no. The whole thing about batteries and really about capacitors too is surface area. You want the largest surface area possible. So when you see these cylindrical capacitors, they're really just long films that are wound into a cylinder to get large surface areas. And so batteries too also need large surface areas so that the electrolyte can move and the cathode and the anode can get good contact with the electrolyte. So they're actually talking about making, layers of cathode, anode, and electrolyte and sandwiching them together and then forming that into like the freaking body of the car so that the body of the car would be the battery. You have to read this whole article. It's super long. I swear to you, it's worth it. It's really cool. Everything, the frame, the body, everything they're going to make into a battery. It's like everything becomes dual use. Oh, it's just the coolest thing ever. I love this article. It just goes on and on and on. They start talking about something else even at the bottom, microelectronics. I don't know why they bring this in.
So I love this article. I love this article. I'm all in for this. I didn't read the article, so I'm going to read it after. But I will say this. This has been talked about for a while, actually. It's been talked about for about 10 years plus. There's a lot of engineering issues, first of which is safety.
Yeah.
No, jokes aside, like what happens when your car gets into an accident?
Right.
And there has to be an energy relief valve somewhere. So when a firefighter comes in with the jaws of life to get a door open, that whole chassis has been de-energized, right?
Right.
That's not easy to do. So, there's a lot of things to be considered here. This has been talked about for a while. I think a potential for the solution, and I'm biased here, I have an investment, could be solid state batteries, right? Because some solid state batteries exhibit less flammability and less volatility than lithium ion as they stand now. That would be a solution. I think we should 100% be continuing on this, right? Because imagine if you have, say, a Honda Civic, and then all of a sudden you have the leg room and just, trunk room of a Honda Accord, because you don't have a gas tank and you don't have a big battery pack underneath the car, right? Tesla has been doing it very well because their battery packs actually add to the engineering and performance of the car because it lowers the center of gravity of the car. So there's been benefits the way electric specific designs have taken place. I'm all for this. I want to see it play out. I want to see the R&D being spent on it. I think it could have incredible benefits. I mean, just less material usage in the manufacturing of a car, less waste, right? This is all very good stuff. Hats off to Ars Technica for putting this article out there. Hats off to the teams in the UK doing this.
Well, there's less weight, there's more efficiency, there's more mileage, there's less cost. I mean, it keeps stacking up. It's great.
Going back to my car and driver piece, that's one thing I didn't mention. This is something that we always have known is a potential for why GM and Ford is it doing it. Are they coming up with a green strategy just because they're green? No, part of it is because it's so much less cost to make an electric vehicle. There's so much less componentry. So the labor savings, the material savings, all that adds up. So, GM could make smaller cars in America, in which they've always had trouble making them at a profit, and they could do so profitably because there's less material. So, that may be really good for American manufacturing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another good point.
Great story, man. I like the story.
Make this here. All right. So my last item I wanted to touch on, in case you guys have been on a bubble for the last week watching the election, which we all have, and you didn't see any other news headlines, I had to bring out this headline, which didn't make any headlines because election was all the headlines. Trump ousted the chairman of FERC, Neil Chatterjee. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a pretty interesting guy. He's kind of a straight shooter type. He really speaks like it is. He's very short and to the point kind of guy. So Trump just brought him in and fired him. And there's some impression that it had to do with something the FERC was doing. So all of the celebratory language, at least on this show for the past couple months, might have had something to do with it. So I have about 3 articles here about everything, they were doing, like with FERC Order 2222, with the MOPR, with the technical conference about carbon pricing that the chairpersons hosted, that he spoke on, which I was on, which was very good. So, and I wanted to top it off a little bit. This article from Utility Dive, they have at least 3 articles on the issue, and he turns out to be quite a character. He actually wanted to be a writing candidate for governor for Virginia. He has some dreams about being a politician, but it doesn't seem like he knows how to play politics very well because he didn't know who his boss was. So it's interesting to see. And then I had to bring up this one too from The Hill. This is from Rebecca Beach, former FERC chair Chatterjee on demotion by Trump. Quote, "I don't give a F." So this is interesting, right? Because it's not clear from these articles. This says demotion. I think he was just demoted from chairman. I think he's still on the commission because they got a problem. They only have 3 of the 5 commissioners. So Trump can't go removing people or nothing can get done. So yeah, I still think he's on the commission. I think he's even still serving as chairman until June. Or maybe I got the details wrong. Maybe he's on the commission till June, but he's not chairman. Yeah, see, so, and he makes a good point. Like he fought hard for this, he worked hard for this, he sacrificed for this, he put a lot of effort into FERC, into doing things right and doing what he thought was right. He said, "My entire family has sacrificed a great deal. I don't give a F what people think of me." I mean, that's so Neil.
Is he saying I don't give a FERC what people?
know
I think that's our title. I don't give a FERC.
I know you did it right there. As this moment, I'm confident I will be able to look them in the eyes when they ask me where I stood on the most significant issues of this time and be proud. He's talking about his grandkids. This is not the last you will hear from me. I mean, we just need more people like this. I mean, what are you doing, right? He decided, what am I here for? What am I doing? And he went and did it. And whether or not powerful forces or moneyed forces wanted him to do something else, he did what he was there to do. And I really like that about him. So
I like it too. Listen, I thought it was a great story, or a series of stories you have. I'm all for this guy. Let me ask you a question though for our listeners who probably don't follow FERC as closely. Obviously, we have a lot of utility listeners that do, but for those that don't, what have been maybe his 2 or 3 most impactful changes of or regulation and orders in his tenure as chairman? What has he done to move the needle in a way that benefits all us green people?
oh well, the first one was, and if you watch the show, you know about this already because it was shocking to me, and I told you it was shocking at the time. The FERC moved to accept distributed energy resources into the wholesale markets, which I never would have thought a Trump administration would have approved and allowed. And so we see there's a little bit of backlash for that. And the other one is they openly had a technical conference with experts on carbon pricing, which is another thing you never would have thought the Trump administration would have allowed. And it turns out, well, they didn't allow it. He he did it from his soapbox. So those are the 2 things that I think got Chatterjee demoted here, and that we should really respect him for standing up for what he believed in on.
Yeah, by the way, I have a feeling that people who get fired over the next week or 2 from the Trump administration, they can clean out their desk, but they probably are putting that cardboard box in a storage closet. They may be back in January.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, you probably get your job back in 2 months.
Some of these people are probably like, fire me, Trump, fire me.
Go ahead.
4 more years, I got it. Listen, great story. I think we should get him as a guest. I think that's our goal.
We probably could.
Let's get him. Let's get him as a guest.
I don't have a direct connection. I don't know anybody that has a direct connection.
Come on, man. Kevin Bacon. We're always 2 steps away from
somebody knows him. Yeah, maybe Steve from kind of. We should have Steve on. We should have Steve on. That's a good idea. And then we'll have Neil on.
Yeah, and then Richard Branson, Elon Musk. We're building.
We'll get him.
All right. Listen, great story. I thought this was really good. I thought, Lucas, you've always been covering FERC very well, so hats off to you.
I'm a terrible FERC reporter.
I don't give a FERC, buddy. Honestly, I think the people I've talked to in the clean energy space, we're trying not to get political, but the reality is a Biden White House is probably going to move the needle just a little bit more. I think personally, I do like political strategy. I'm a big West Wing junkie. I think bringing the Republicans on board for significant victories early, especially on infrastructure spending, post-COVID growth of economy is essential, and I think it can get done. So let's focus on unity, America. Like, this is what we need to do. Friends in the Rust Belt, let's focus on green hydrogen, right? The shale boom probably didn't play out in Pennsylvania and Ohio and West Virginia like we thought it would. So let's replace it with something that would be generations. That one of the articles I think I read this week, whether it was one I posted, green hydrogen could be a replacement for diesel. Diesel could be on its way out. And if you think about that in itself, the infrastructure, the capital spending to replace the whole diesel infrastructure with hydrogen, let's do it. Let's spit out water vapor out of the backs of these trucks.
Well, go buy Nikola stock. I agree with you. You could, and we should. And like I said, if it's curtailed energy from the renewable grid, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Just go do it.
I agree. I agree. Listen, so I think this was actually one of our better article stories. We didn't have a guest this week. Your camera froze, by the way. I don't know what's up with that.
No, I think it's still yours. I think I'm good.
Mine keeps freezing all the time. Um,
Yeah.
anyways, this was I really enjoyed tonight's episode because it's very forward thinking. Even with Chattery getting fired, we still put it in the context of something that's going to be happening in the future. This is great. This is exactly what we're here for. We're going to be promoting green energy and having fun doing it. So,
Well, I've just been thinking a lot about like what, like what are we doing here? Like, yeah, and everybody can think about it in their own job. Like, what are you doing here? Are you doing what you need to be doing? You know, your I'm gonna get all philosophical, but your goals in life should come from in here. It shouldn't come from outside. It should be like, I want to do things in life. I want to change things. I want to change how the world works for the better. And that's what I want to do. And if things are getting in your way, that's your battle in life. And your everyone's life is exciting in that way, right? If you think about it. And do it. I mean, do what you need to do. Be on Neil Chatterjee. Be him. Say, I don't regret anything. F it. I don't regret it. He did the right thing. He pushed for the right things. He got demoted. Whatever. He got demoted. Who cares?
yeah,
Right?
you only become stronger, right? As a result,
Right.
it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi line. If you strike me down, you only make me more powerful than you could possibly imagine. So,
Right. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, COVID is like has put like a expiration date on everything, right? You do it now. You got to do it now, or you might not be able to do it.
awesome. You know what, Lucas? That's so motivating, right? We have tough days at work, tough days at home, and that's awesome perspective. And I absolutely agree with that. I was thinking a lot today. It's 5 years ago that I did your NYU energy finance program, and still one of the best things I've ever done. And I'm asking myself that question: have I done enough? And I've been doing this on the side, and I absolutely love it. And I'm an advocate of green energy, and I always will be. But I'm not doing enough, and I want to be doing more. And I think I challenge all of our listeners to do exactly that. Pick the sweet spots in your existing job and say, what can I do to make my department and my company a little bit more focused on sustainability, on ESG, right? Obviously,
Right.
on ESG, we talk about the E a lot, but the S and G are very important too, social governance, especially what's happened in America over the last few months. So, everyone pick a battle. And if everybody picked a battle, imagine how much we would change the game in the United States and globally. And we would be that beacon again. That's something that we've kind of lost a little bit. We're not the beacon on the hill that America used to be,
Yeah.
except at the individual level, we still are. So let's promote the hell out of that. Let's promote the FERC out of that.
That's terrible. Well, it's gonna take a long time to get rid of that whole meme.
Yeah, so by the way, don't put our ugly faces on the YouTube. Put Neil's out there, man. I don't give a FERC.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
I got to thank my neighbor Myron for bringing me this fantastic beer. I think it's changing the conversation as we speak about our energy.
I know I got a little too heart to heart because I had too much on the Weyerbacher. So.
Hey, listen, the reason I passed German in grad school was because for my oral presentation on German investment in Eastern Europe, I went to the campus pub beforehand and had 3. And that saved my German class, man, because I just opened up and let loose. I don't even think I talked about any countries in Eastern Europe. I'm pretty sure I talked about my Pontiac, but you know what? I passed.
Jeez, I don't want to talk about German beer episodes. It's another.
We just
another
did.
Podcast.
Come on, we talked about cow poop 3 weeks ago. So, hey, why don't you mention really quick? One of our past audience members, HG Gazelle, has a little something going on this week, right? Not to put you on.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow. No, HG Giselle has his advanced energy group. We're gonna talk to him because he has some great guests. I don't know how he gets these guests. They're awesome. So we're gonna try and get over there and interview these people. so you guys can enjoy their perspectives, because they head up these roundtables for a reason. So we're working on that. We'll see what HG says.
Yeah, and to those 150 viewers that actually watched our car reviews, we are going to get back on the car review game. I promise. We have technical difficulties on Lucas's Bolt review. It's not the car that's having technical difficulties; it's the editors.
It's in the queue. Yeah, it's almost done.
We're getting there. But
okay,
Lucas. So where do people need to go to keep following us all the time?
Oh yeah, so just go to your favorite podcasting service, look for search for Pirates of Clean Tech. You usually have a follow button. You click the follow button, and then you get notified. We use a distribution service, so we're on most of the popular podcast sites. We're also on YouTube. You can find us there. You can subscribe. You click on the little bell, and then you get a notification on your phone when the new episode gets posted, so you hear it first.
Yeah, and the podcasts have been great. YouTube's fun, but podcasting makes it convenient for anyone wherever there are to listen to our podcast. So also want to say, of course, the great disclaimer. I feel like we need to have some audio effect when I say disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by Lucas and I are simply those of ourselves and not any organization we are affiliated with, especially when we have some good German beer.
And we should just have that as a recording so we don't have to repeat it every week, but whatever.
We only have a few weeks until we hit the holidays, so we'll be wrapping up season 2 probably and take a little holiday break.
We have to have a Christmas special.
We need to have a Christmas special, maybe a Zoom with some of our past guests.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
That'd be fun, right? And then we definitely have to share the beer love.
Oh yeah, big time.
Anyways, but we'd love to get some feedback for what you want to see different in season 3. One person suggested, we should have the titles of our guests, more prominently so they can look up people by guest. I thought that was a good idea. So, things like that. We want to hear a little bit more from people. Content is important for us. We definitely focus a lot on utility, hydrogen, EV. If we're missing something, let us know. Always happy to take a look.
All right.
And with that, I'm going to put my camera back on for 5 more seconds because it should be working. Thank you, everybody. I'm Eric Planey.
I'm Lucas Finko.
And we are the Pirate Waiters of Clean Tech.
Yarr.
Yarr.
Yarr. Your patch is in the mail.
I don't have a patch. I got a pink bandana.